With Kim Jong-un. Well, my next guest just returned from Korea, and she knows firsthand how high the stakes are for this summit. Here with the analysis, Republican Congresswoman from Arizona, Martha McSally. Congresswoman, good to see you.
Good to see you again, too.
Dennis Rodman, North Korea. I mean, this is all so crazy, right? That, you know, hey, the other way hasn't worked. Who knows? Maybe this, this will do the trick.
Well, I'm not sure about the Dennis factor, but in general, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And what we've had for decades with North Korea is talk and them looking like they were agreeing towards moving towards peace, relief of economic sanctions, and then they just moved ahead towards their belligerent actions and marching their nuclear capabilities to hold an American city hostage. So this time is different, for sure. And because of the president's leadership and the maximum pressure campaign, we have an opening here that's historic. I'm a skeptic optimist coming back from my trip here, and that's not an oxymoron.
Tell me what you saw on that trip.
So it was pretty powerful. Led the congressional delegation. We were standing right there at the DMZ. This was right where a couple hours later President Moon crossed in to meet with Kim. Also, there are bullet holes in the buildings over to the side where the North Korean defector had crawled to freedom just 6 months ago. A very powerful place to stand. It's a very volatile place, but our troops, I'm so proud of them. We met with the commanders, and they are ready to fight tonight through strength and readiness and innovation alongside the ROK Army. And I think that's part of the maximum pressure campaign, that Kim realizes that this president is willing to make it so painful for him, he's willing and able, that maybe he's needing to change his course this time.
Yeah.
So it was,
when you talk about maximum pressure, I mean, it's not just military, it's also economic.
Yes.
And I think that one of the things that we've learned from this is if you actually really do impose sanctions and you stick to them and you say, okay, all you other countries out there, and I know China's been kind of fiddling with this a bit, and Russia too, but if you guys stick to them too, then you have the ability to influence the situation in a pretty massive, significant way.
Oh, absolutely. Look, we have all elements of national power. Economic is a powerful one, and they are still cheating a little bit, but this administration has cranked up the pressure. One thing that was amazing, every briefing we had, the opening slide was a picture from space of the Korean Peninsula. And in the south, you see this vibrant place of light. In the north, it's completely dark. This is a medieval country. They can't even pay for their hotel rooms at the summit. And this pressure is actually very painful. Well, that's what we're hearing. You're seeing the media reports.
Us?
Well, I think that's being worked through. That, they may not even have an airplane that could, land. I mean, this is their household per capita income is 5% of that of South Korea. This is not a peer. This is a totalitarian regime that is a menace, but they are failing and they are under pressure. And I think maybe there's an opportunity to change the course of this country.
Do you think that China's okay with it? Let's not forget, China kind of likes having that little buffer there, right?
They do. They do.
So,
but they also
is China going to be okay with us suddenly being friends with Kim Jong-un, etc.?
I think they realized over the course of the last year and a half, with the increased belligerence and marching towards the capability to hold an American city hostage with a nuclear weapon, and our intolerance to that we weren't going to let it happen, that the Frankenstein they tried to manage has sort of gotten out of control. So China has changed its course a little bit. They certainly don't want a Western-style democracy on their border, but they also don't want North Korea to collapse and have a refugee crisis or American troops on their border. And I think part of this is what's caused them to change their tune a little bit.
If you were the president, would you have called Dennis up on the phone and said, buddy, stay out of this one?
Hey, the president gets to do whatever the president wants to do,
You wouldn't have invited him, though.
I'm not going to comment on that. I just think, again, we have a historic opportunity here. It's up to Kim whether he wants his country to move towards a better path or whether he's going to continue suffering under the increased pressure that will happen if this fails.
Well, I'll tell you what my colleague Kennedy said on the air last night, which I don't quite have the same delivery, but it was great. She basically said, this is so darn weird that it may work. So, fingers crossed, it happens. Exactly. You're right. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, so hey, at least it's a new direction. Congresswoman, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you, Trish. Take care.
All right, later on in my show, everyone, my intel on